Rapunzel, but not devoid of a modern twist. In Romford's busy marketplace, where bustling crowds do beat, King Xavier and Queen Mia found their happiness complete. They were ecstatic, hearts aglow, a dazzling divine sight, for a precious daughter had arrived in the velvet dark of night. "She's exemplary," Mia cried, her voice like a silver bell, amidst the market's merry mayhem, where the traders buy and sell. But a notorious shadow loomed, a dark and dismal omen, a threat to break the peace of every Romford man and woman. Winnie the Witch, with features sharp and quite snobbish, thought the town's celebration was infantile rubbish. She was incensed, infuriated, and livid with ire, her jealousy burning like a relentless wildfire. "I'll prohibit this joy. I'll veto your peace," she snarled as she watched the excitement increase. To make matters worse, she felt shunned and ignored by the distinguished couple whom the people adored. "Under no circumstances," Winnie shrieked at the pair, "shall you retain this child with the golden hair?" She snatched the babe prior to the morning's first light, an appalling abduction in the middle of the night. Queen Mia was inconsolable, her grief far from small, while King Xavier's loud protests echoed through the hall. "Fortunately," Winnie cackled, "she's out of your bounds, hidden where silence and monotony abounds." In the Havering woods, in a tower so high that it seemed to intentionally pierce the gray sky, Rapunzel grew up, albeit lonely and sad, devoid of the parents she once should have had. The tower was an eyesore, ancient and grim, with a substandard view from the very top rim. She spent day in day out in a tedious daze, lost in a lackluster, emerald green maze. Her hair was a river, a golden cascade, which Winnie would use to traverse the dark glade. "Rapunzel, Rapunzel, your hair is the stair," the witch would command with a petulant flare. Rapunzel would relent, though she longed to evade the incessant demands that the cruel witch made. She was reluctant to help, but she had to comply, lest her inadequate freedom should wither and die. One day, Prince Jack, who was noble and brave, heard a song reminiscent of a light in a cave. He followed the scent of the wildflowers sweet, until the abysmal tower sat at his feet. "It's a dilemma," he muttered, "a puzzle to solve, but to right this wrong is my ultimate resolve." He was competent, daring, and far from a fool, refusing to follow Winnie's tyrannical rule. He mimicked the witch with a voice quite loquacious. "Let down your hair, for the weather is spacious." The golden locks tumbled, he began to proceed. To rescue the princess was his primary deed. "No wonder she's hidden," he thought as he climbed, "by a witch whose dark heart is so poorly timed." He was enthusiastic, his energy high, as he rose toward the window that touched the dark sky. When he reached the top, she was caught off her guard. She assumed he was hostile, her heart feeling barred. "Do not be distraught," Jack said with a bow. "I'm here to intervene and to save you right now." He was charming and kind, not at all a threat, the most exemplary person that she'd ever met. "Is it true?" she whispered, her voice full of hope. "Can I leave this tower and its narrow stone scope?" They talked for an hour. They did not bicker or quarrel. Their connection was instant. Their purpose was moral. "My itinerary is simple," Jack proposed with a grin, "to eliminate the sorrow you're currently in." Rapunzel was ecstatic. She ceased to be shy. "Furthermore," she whispered, "I'm ready to fly." But the calm before the storm was about to subside, as Winnie returned to find someone inside. Winnie was livid. She was incensed and irate. "You've sabotaged my plan. You've challenged your fate." She burst through the door with a roar and a glare, to add insult to injury and cause them despair. "You're disqualified from joy," the witch screamed in her ire, her eyes flashing bright with a magical fire. Jack stood his ground, his expression quite grim, as the shadow of Winnie loomed over him. The witch grabbed the shears with an irrevocable glare, and with a snip-snap, she severed the hair. "This error is final," she shrieked with a laugh, as she cut the golden river in half. Rapunzel let out a sharp, heartbroken cry as her long golden tresses began to fly. The witch's malice was sharp as the blade in the dark, dusty room where the two were waylaid. Jack tried to resist, but the witch pushed him away. "Your rescue is over. You've lost the whole day." He faltered and stumbled, his balance now gone, as the witch's dark malice continued to yawn. His fall was exacerbated by the height of the wall, a terrifying, dizzying, and dangerous fall. Winnie watched from above with a sneer of delight as the hero vanished into the night. Rapunzel was cast to the Romford outskirts, where the dismal rain falls and the cold wind hurts. She was inconsolable, wandering the street with nothing but sorrow and bare, tired feet. The monotony of the suburbs was heavy and gray as she missed her Prince Jack every hour of the day. Her hair was now short, just a golden brown bob, and her chest felt a heavy, persistent throb. Jack had fallen below to a bush full of thorns, where the loss of his princess his heavy heart mourns. Fortunately, he lived, though his vision was blurred, but the song of Rapunzel was no longer heard. "I must find her," he cried. "I will not give in, though my chances of finding her seem very thin." He was relentless and brave, despite his great pain, searching through Havering again and again. Winnie stayed in the tower, alone and incensed. Her hatred for Jack and the girl was condensed. She paced the stone floor with a petulant stride, with nowhere to go and nowhere to hide. "They think they have won," she hissed to the air. "But I'll find them again, I'll give them a scare." She was loquacious in anger, shouting her spite into the cold and the dark of the night. For months, Jack searched Romford, from station to mall, asking for Rapunzel of each person in stall. "Have you seen her?" he asked with a desperate plea, "the girl with the eyes that are bright as the sea?" His itinerary was vast, his search was relentless, but the silence he met left him feeling quite senseless. Yet he didn't falter, he didn't lose heart, vowing that they would no longer be apart. One evening near Raynham, he heard a sweet sound, a song reminiscent of the love he had found. It was Rapunzel. She was singing a tune under the light of a pale silver moon. She was sitting alone by a small garden gate, wondering if Jack would succumb to his fate. "It's her," Jack whispered, his heart beating fast. "The light at the end of the tunnel at last." They ran to each other and shared an embrace, with tears of pure joy on each other's face. "I found you," Jack cried. "I never gave up to toast to our future. Let's fill every cup." Rapunzel was elate, her joy was supreme, like waking at last from a terrible dream. "To Romford," she said, "to the king and the queen, to see the best parents that ever have been." They went to the Liberty, the mall in the town, where Queen Mia was wearing her modern-day crown. When she saw her daughter, she was reduced to tears, ending the drought of the long, lonely years. "My exemplary child," she cried with a shout, "your father and I had such worry and doubt." Mia hugged her so tight that she barely could breathe, as the ghosts of the past finally started to leave. King Xavier met the boy who'd shown bravery and zeal. His gratitude was massive, something everyone could feel. Winnie was barred from the borough for good, banished forever from tower and wood. Rapunzel and Jack lived a life full of grace, in a spacious and modern Romford-based place. With her hair styled short in a chic, golden bob, she found an energetic and wonderful job.